Okay, Melissa, thank you for being patient with technical difficulties, but it looks like we are live and we are ready for you to get started with your presentation. Thank you for your patience and sticking around a little bit later.
All right. Can you hear me okay? Maybe?
Yes, and we can see your screen.
Yay! Okay. All right. Good deal. Let me switch over here then. All right. I'm Melissa Gardner. I'm the school librarian at Campbell County Middle School. And today we're going to talk about Google Drive. So these are the skills that we're going to focus on. Each of these is a link to some additional resources for each of these skills. I apologize that there's not a link on the agenda. I will get that to you. Actually, if you look at the bottom of this screen, there is a bit.ly link for it, or you can email me and you can have the link. It's been a long week. We had a death in our family, and so it's been tough. So, but hopefully, just walking you through some of these things, you'll be able to follow along okay. And we'll get started here. So, to access Google Drive, there are two ways that I usually teach my students. One is to go to Google and to click on the waffle, which will have all the Google apps listed. The second way is if you go up to the address bar, all of the Google tools you can access by using the pattern, whatever the tool name is, .google.com. So for example, if you're accessing Drive, you would type in drive.google.com. If you're going to Docs, it would be docs.google.com, slides.google.com, so on and so forth. But the easiest way to me is just to go to the waffle and click on Drive. So once you're in Drive, one thing that you will want to remember, you can have as many Google accounts as you want. You will have one school account, of course, but you can set up multiple personal accounts. And a good thing to note is to make sure that you are logged into the account that you think you're logged into. For example, I have two different accounts that I use, and to help me differentiate the two, I have two different pictures. So my school Google account has a picture of a TARDIS. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. And then my personal account has a picture of me, so that I can look over and tell which account I'm logged into, because I have several different things that I keep on each account. I don't keep my personal things on my school account, and some of the things that I have at school I may have at home, but not very often. When you look at the left-hand part of your screen, you will see you have your Drive, My Drive. You also have a Team Drive. Now, some schools utilize the Team Drive, some schools do not. Team Drive is something that you would share with other people. For example, we have a faculty handbook on ours. We also have a technology team folder and things like that. So those are things that you might want to use. Below that, you have the items that have been shared with you. When you click on that, you will see not only the items, but you will see who they were shared by and what date that they were shared. And we'll talk about sharing a little bit later on. Usually, sometimes this gets pretty crowded, depending on how many people you're working with and so on and so forth. Your recent folder or recent items, or just that, things that you have opened up recently. Start items we'll talk about in just a minute. And then you also have your trash. Down at the bottom, it'll show you how many gigabytes of storage that you've used. And you can see I have quite a few things in my Google Drive because I pretty much save everything there, because no matter where I am, I can always access Google Drive as long as I have internet access. So on the left-hand side, and we go back to my drive, on the right-hand side, you can see your activity, what you've done lately, and you can see that I edited something. I shared an item a while ago, 11:45. I created 4 things, so on and so forth. So that can show you what you've done, and it can help you find things if you've worked on them recently. If you need to see what you've edited or something like that, you can have those. Okay. So one thing that I always tell my students, up in this settings, which was this little cogwheel up at the top, there are some settings that you want to look at to start off with. Here again is your storage, how much you've used. This one is important, the convert uploads. If you check this box, anytime you upload a document that's not part of Google Docs, it will convert it to Google Docs or to Sheets or whatever. So for example, if you upload a Word document and you want to edit it while you were in Google, it'll automatically change it over to Google Docs format so that you can edit it, and then you can download it back either as a PDF or a Word format or anything that you want. But I usually keep this checked because it's easier for me if I'm actually in Google to go ahead and work on it while I'm in there. Okay. The offline button is if it allows you to open up things and work on them while you don't have internet access. It's not recommended on computers that you would share, computers at school that other people would have access to, because you don't want them in your files and things like that. Suggestions, it just kind of like Google Works. It makes suggestions for when you might need help. Photos, I suggest that if you use Google Photos, that you make sure that all the photos that are in your school account are school-related photos, so that you're not mixing up your personal pictures with your school pictures. Okay. Notifications. You can get updates, things about something new that's been shared with you. If somebody has a question about access, or they want to access a file that you might have, if somebody has made comments or suggestions, this tells Google that you would like to get email about those things and things like that. Manage apps. These are all things that you can add through Chrome that work with Google, and you can manage those. Some of them have different options that you can turn off and turn back on. Okay, I'm trying to look over and make sure there's no questions. If you see any questions, or you have any questions, type it in, and I'll check periodically to see. Okay, so one thing I like about Google Drive is this is where I do almost everything that I do with Google. I don't go to just the waffle and choose Google Docs. I don't go to the waffle and just choose slides or whatever. I pretty much access everything of Google through Google Drive. So, for example, if we're creating a new file, we have 2 different ways that we can do that. We can go here to the plus where it says new, and you can see that we can create a new folder, We can upload files. We can create new Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, and so on and so forth. Forms, drawings, maps. The arrow lets you either choose a blank document or something from a template. Our district, for example, some of our things that we have as far as our evaluation instruments and things, they have as templates here in Google. And so we can choose one of those if we need to do that kind of template or whatever. Oops, to the wrong one. Okay. So if I wanted to create a new Google Doc, I could just click on it right here and start my document. Your other option is under where it says My Drive, you can do the same thing. It has the same choices right here, which is pretty easy, pretty convenient to do. Okay. Your file access, you have your files are listed here in the center. I keep mine in folders, except for at the bottom you'll see all the things that I haven't put in folders yet. You can change the view. Right now I have it in list view. The 4 squares right here will change it into grid view. Okay, so your folders, you'll have 3 across or so on and so forth, and they'll go down. When you are organizing, you can choose organizing by name. You can organize by when the folder was modified, last modified by me, or last opened by me. I usually choose name just because it seems easier for me. One thing that I do, I mentioned before that there is a starred folder. So these are things that I access fairly often. So I have starred those items. So in order to do that, when you open them, you can add stars to different files if you'd like. You can right click on it, click on Add to Starred, and it will add it to that folder. Let's see. One thing that I do, in addition to the starred, because I have my folders in alphabetical order, there are still some that I access more often. And if you'll notice, I use an underscore in front of, for example, here's my library folder where I have my policy documents and things like that. So I use an underscore, which brings that to the top of the list. And then you'll notice that after that, then the numbers come. So you've got 1-to-1 is first, and then 3D printing, and then it starts with the A's, B's, so on and so forth. So anything that I want to make at the very top of the list, I go ahead and put an underscore next to it so that it's going to bring it up to the top. So that's just kind of a trick that I use. So when you're working with different files that are not Google related, when you open those, if you don't have that check mark in settings marked, so let's go in and I'll take off the check mark. So I have a document down here. So I'm going to open up a Word document, and let's see. It's not going to do it because I already had that one open. Okay, hang on a second. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload a file. So I'm going to go to my drive, upload file, and go to that one. It's a document. Okay. When I open it, it's going to open it in this window, and then it's going to give me the option to open with Google Docs. It doesn't automatically open with a Google Docs, which it would if I had that checkbox. So I can open it with Google Docs, and then I'll convert it. Or I can go here and I can download it to my desktop or save it or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and open with Google Docs. And then once it's opened, then I don't need to take a tour. Then I can edit it here in Google Docs. And then when I finish, I can download it back as a Microsoft Word document or an open document, rich text, PDF, so on and so forth. So I can keep it in the original format after I've done the editing, which is kind of cool because some of the students like to use their computers at home, and they may have Word documents that they've started at home, and then they need to finish them here at school with Google and so on and so forth. So they have that option to do that. So let's click back. Okay. Let's see, converting files. Okay, so if you notice from my, let me go back to my drive. From my drive, I have a lot of folders, and like I said, I had like 2 gig worth of materials. I have videos, pictures, PowerPoints, so on and so forth. Basically, everything that I used to save to my hard drive on my computer, things that I saved to flash drives and portable hard drives and things like that, I now store in Google so that I don't have to take my flash drive between home and work anymore or anything like that. And Google Drive makes it very easy to upload your documents to Google Drive. So what you would need to do is under My Drive, you have the option of uploading files, or you can upload whole folders. So when you click on Upload Files, it'll take you to your My Documents, or I'm on a Mac, so it takes me to my Finder. But you can click on the ones that the document that you would want to upload, and you just click Open, and it automatically uploads it. It'll tell you that it's finished. If you have something already of the same name, which I did, you can tell it to keep it as a separate file or whatever. You can also have the option to upload an entire folder. So if I had, I'm not sure if I have any folders. Here we go. If I wanted to upload this folder, you just click on the folder, click on Upload. It'll ask you if you want to upload everything. So yes, upload. And then down on the side, it's going to tell you, give you the status of the things that you've uploaded. So now it's uploaded. And so if we look, we should have a file that says Encastle Word. So it's right here. Okay. You can color code your folders, which sometimes is nice. You can right click or and change the color. So if I want this to be purple because it's my school library, it'll change the color of the folder so that you can better identify which folder goes with which other things. Makes it pretty too. Other options with the folder, we'll talk about sharing in a little bit. You can rename the folder by right-clicking. You can search within the folder. You can download the entire folder if you want, or you can click remove and it will it'll delete the folder. And then some of the apps will allow you to open the folder with those apps. Okay, I was just checking to see if there were any questions. So that was, let's see, working with files, other uploading files, converting files, we did that. If you want to share files, sharing files within the folders works the same way as sharing documents with other, sharing the other documents. So if I opened up my library folder and I had a resource list, books similar to Wonder, and I wanted to share that with someone, I would just click on the share button and then get a shareable link if I wanted to email the link to someone to give them access, or I can list the individual addresses of the people that I want to share the file with. And when I click done, then I can do that link. Folders, when you share folders, it's a little bit different than sharing just a file. And if you notice, there are a couple of my folders that have been shared, and you can tell that because it's got the little little silhouette of a person, little silhouette of a man. Okay, anyway, Queen reference. This one, for example, is my evaluation folder that my principal has shared with me. And inside I have my evaluation documents. And every time I add or I do an evaluation document, I put it into that folder and it automatically is shared with him. So anything that you put in a shared folder is automatically shared with the people that you have given access to that folder. So you can't say, well, I don't want this person to have access to this. Well, then don't put it in the folder. If it's in the folder, it's shared. Okay. Now this particular folder, if you look in my shared with me, you would see it's in here somewhere. It's in there somewhere, but I made a copy of the folder and put it in my drive so that I also had a copy of it. Now there are two different ways that you can do that. If you want it to still be the shared folder, then you want to make sure that the sharing settings are intact. Otherwise, then you will make an actual copy of it so that you can put things in the folder, but they are not necessarily shared with the other people. For example, like if you go to a conference and the presenter shares files with you, and they share their presentation, and they have given you, they didn't change their settings so that you only had view access, then you want to make sure that you make a copy of it so that you're not changing anything that the other person has done. So it's easy to make a copy of something so that you don't change it. So non-Google files, if you have a file that's not a Google file, so for example, the Word document that we opened up, if you want to share that with someone, you can't automatically share it the same way. So when you open up the document, you'll notice up here you have some choices. You can comment on it, you can print it, you can download it. So the three dots here, they allow you to share it. So if you click on that, you have your share button so that you can You can share it. You can move it to somewhere. You can put a star on it, so on and so forth. Okay. Let's see. So anything, like I said, anything that you've placed in a tab or a folder is automatically shared with the people that you have the folder shared with. Another thing that you can do is if you have, so for example, I have this whole list of items that I haven't put anywhere. I can, it will allow me to move them. So if I highlight one and I right click, I can say move to, and it will give me the list of folders that I have in my drive, and I can choose the folder that I want to put it in. So that has to do with the Bluegrass Awards. I can click on it and it will move it for me. And then if you notice that over in my activity, it tells me that I moved an item into the Bluegrass Awards, so that I have access to that information. Let's see. All right. I think share resource folder and drive. We did that. You just right click and you share the folder. So to share a folder, you would click on it, click share, or you can also get a shareable link. You can have folders within folders. Like I said, you can download a folder, you can remove them. One of the really awesome things about Drive is the ability to search within the folder. So for example, I just, if I wanted to look for items that I have relating to the KBA, I can search for those. And so all of these things have something to do with the Kentucky Bluegrass Awards. And so I can search that. I can also do search by type. So if I'm only looking for presentations having to do with the Bluegrass Awards, then here are all my slides that have to do with KBA. Or if I want to only look for things that I did not create, I can look for that. Or if I'm only looking for things that I did create, I can go owned by me. I can look for things that are in my team drive, things that have been shared with me, things that are anywhere, so on and so forth. So it gives me a good search term to use. I can look at when it was modified, so on and so forth, or things that I've shared. So it's really powerful and an easy way to find things if you're not organized, which sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. It gives you a good way to look for those things. So, questions that I can answer about Drive. Okay. If in the future you're interested in doing your Google certification, these are actually all things that are covered on the level 1 certification for Drive. So if you're able to do these, if you have these skills, are able to do these things, you should be able to have no trouble at all with the Google Drive portion of the test. So that's a good thing. Like I said, if you have any other questions, here is, let me bring this back up. Here is the link to the PowerPoint that has the skills list. And like I said, each of those links to the different skills that we talked about in the presentation. So if there are no more questions, make sure that you join in for the closing event, which is linked to the agenda. And you should have gotten an email with that link. And make sure you fill out your evaluation. I think they'll send that to you as well. So thank you very much for participating, for watching, and I will see you soon.